There's been a number of new media people, and I consider anybody who's like Twitch, Instagram, or TikTok new media. So if I use that term, that's who I'm labeling in on that. There's been a number of them who are making success because TikTok is about approachability. It's about starting people from zero. Like, I've never met you before, but here, watch me for 7 seconds do something dumb.
Yeah.
And so, like Grant is really good at this. Alex Hart is really good at this. Wusong is really good at this. They're doing content for people who are starting at Uno or Monopoly and coming to on their board game journey. Yeah. What is the equivalent of that for Book Talk?
Well, I think books have a little bit easier entry point. I think. Because board games, there's an actual learning curve, right? Like, you actually have to be able to learn the game. You have to learn mechanics. You have to, depending on the game, it might be simpler, it might be harder. Board gaming is not. It still is nowhere near as accessible, I think, as picking up a book and reading is.
I don't know. Like, as a person with a learning disability, I walk into a Barnes and Noble. I don't care if it's the 50% off sale. I see all these things. Are like, oh, childhood trauma. I think, two things. My feed. One person says, "Hey, quick! Someone make this man cry," and then Icarina, one of our guys, wants to say hello and so forth. And one like, "Yay!" So, but yes, you were saying.
I think that for that moment is really for us. Really, it's just relatability, right? Like, I think reading, something I think is so amazing about Book Talk is that reading is really a solo activity, right? Like, it's a solitary, introverted activity to sit down and read a book. And I think what's amazing about Book Talk is that it is this very community-driven, extrovert-driven, community that are people discussing and talking about books and fueling book buying and people picking up books and going to libraries and going to bookstores in ways that they haven't for the past 10, 15, 20 years. And I think it's interesting to see a bunch of introverts basically drive this very community-oriented, world, which I think is just wild. But I think for us, the big thing is getting people. We have the similar side, right? So in board games, we have things like Ticket to Ride, Monopoly, like the people who have played Cards Against Humanity, and we want to show them all the other amazing things that are out there, right? And in books, I think you have a lot of gateway books too, right? Like, a lot of people come to Book Talk because they've read, Harry Potter or A Court of Thorns and Roses or these books that everybody's read, and they get here.
Flowers in the Attic.
You're into reading, but can we show you something even better than that, right? Can we show you something even more exciting? And so I think that's what our version of that is like getting people into the maybe less. Let me show you something that isn't $1 billion making, right? Like, let me show you something that's, smaller or maybe even independently published, but still really exciting.
Oh my gosh. So you hit the nail on the head. Okay. So, what content creators, Book Talk, and board game publishers have in common is the gateway to learning about something is very much determined by the dollar values people have to put behind it. Yep. There's a reason that there's a whole group of the populace who believe Monopoly is the only game. And that's because people spend a lot of money making Monopoly front and center in the most accessible ways possible. One of the most exciting things about Barnes & Noble having a 50% off sale for board games and everything else was that so many people rushed and got to see that there's so many more games, right? Yeah. And then Target having a game selection, all this kinds of stuff, this making it even approachable. But even with those like big box stores carrying games, they're only going to carry games from certain publishers.
Yeah.
And and then small publishers or small authors don't always get the they can't compete on the exact same playing field as somebody who has made games at a different scale, so it's a fraction of the cost, and have just media dollars to acquire you and so forth and whatnot, right?
Yeah.
I've gotten to see a lot of people have massive amounts of success in indie space, and then being successful indie people. Like the Twin Cities is great for all sizes of game companies. We have them all. And we have 10 inches of snow. That's what's happening outside my window. It's
awful. It is.
What games are fantastic, Jaysen? Why are you like poo-pooing games? Like